The lights were blinding. The roar of 60,000 voices echoed through the night, trembling through the steel bones of Wembley Stadium. Smoke drifted across the stage as Michael Jackson stood in his signature black and gold military jacket, frozen in a beam of white light. His glove shimmered like liquid silver. The crowd held its breath. Then, it happened. A blur of movement, a flash of blonde hair, and suddenly, a woman was on the stage. No one saw where she came from. No one could stop her. Before anyone could react, she ran straight toward Michael Jackson, and kissed him. The world seemed to stop. For a heartbeat, 60,000 people went silent. Cameras flashed. Security froze in disbelief. And Michael Jackson, the most guarded, mysterious man in the world, just stood there, eyes wide, lips parted, the microphone still in his hand. It was one of the most shocking moments in concert history, a split second of raw humanity amid the glitter and perfection. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss another untold story. To understand why this moment became so legendary, we have to go back to a time when Michael Jackson was not just a performer, but a phenomenon. It was the early 1990s, the Dangerous World Tour, an era when every concert was more than a show, it was a global event. Michael Jackson wasn't just singing songs. He was orchestrating miracles on stage. Every move, every breath, every pause had been choreographed to perfection. But that night, perfection was interrupted by something real. Witnesses say the woman appeared out of nowhere. She wasn't part of the crew, nor a contest winner. Somehow, she slipped through the barricades, evaded the wall of bodyguards, and reached him. When she threw her arms around him, time seemed to melt away. Security guards rushed forward, but Michael raised his hand, a small gesture that stopped them in their tracks. That's when the crowd erupted again. People screamed, laughed, cried. Some couldn't believe what they were seeing. Others held their breath, waiting for his reaction. Michael Jackson looked stunned at first, then something changed. Slowly, a soft smile broke through his shock. He looked into the woman's eyes, gently touched her arm, and whispered something no one could hear. Then, as she kissed him on the cheek, Michael closed his eyes, not in fear, not in anger, but in something that felt like grace. For that one moment, the king of pop wasn't an untouchable icon. He was human. The security team eventually pulled the fan away, but not before the image had burned itself into the memory of everyone there. The kiss, the confusion, the glitter falling like stars, it became one of the most talked about moments of Michael Jackson's career. Fans argued whether it was spontaneous or staged. Some believed it was an act of devotion, others thought it was a dangerous breach of security. But for Michael, it seemed to symbolize something deeper, a reminder of how close he lived to the edge between love and chaos. Behind the scenes, those who worked with him said Michael remained calm afterward. Backstage, he reportedly said, "She just wanted to feel love." That simple sentence revealed everything about him. Despite being the most famous person on earth, surrounded by walls of protection, Michael Jackson still saw the humanity in every fan who reached for him. He understood something that few artists ever could, that fame was both a gift and a cage. The world adored him, yet that love often came with danger. Over the years, fans had tried to grab him, hug him, even pull him off stage. He'd been chased through airports, trapped in hotel lobbies, and mobbed outside his own car. But Michael never responded with anger. He often said that love was the only real power strong enough to change anything, and that belief guided everything he did. That night at Wembley wasn't just another concert. It was a reflection of the strange, fragile relationship between Michael Jackson and the millions who loved him. On stage, he seemed larger than life, a celestial being surrounded by light and sound. But in that single unscripted moment, when a stranger broke through and kissed him, he was brought back to earth. It reminded the world that beneath the legend, there was still a man, vulnerable, gentle, and searching for connection. Some say that's why Michael Jackson didn't push her away. He could have called security instantly. He could have stepped back, embarrassed or angry. But he didn't. Instead, he chose kindness. He chose calm. Even in chaos, he embodied the very message he sang in Heal the World and Will You Be There: love, forgiveness, compassion. The crowd saw that too. When the fan was finally escorted off stage, Michael simply smiled and whispered into the microphone, "I love you more." The audience exploded. It was his signature phrase, but that night, it carried an entirely new meaning. It wasn't just words. It was a promise that even the madness of fame couldn't destroy the goodness in his heart. What few people know is that this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. During other shows, in Bucharest, in Seoul, in Mexico City, fans had managed to reach him. Some hugged him tightly, some fell to their knees, some just cried. And every time, Michael Jackson reacted with the same gentleness. He would often hold their hands, pat their backs, or whisper to them softly. His bodyguards would stand frozen, uncertain whether to step in, because Michael's calmness seemed to disarm everyone. There's a moment in one of his concert recordings, just after a fan collapses from emotion, where Michael kneels beside them and softly waves his hand for security to stay back. You can see it in his eyes, compassion without judgment. He once said in an interview, "When they come to me like that, I can feel their soul. It's not madness, it's love, and it's pure." That belief defined who Michael Jackson was beyond the headlines, beyond the controversies, beyond the myths. He didn't just perform for his audience, he connected with them on a spiritual level. Every concert was a communion, a shared emotional experience that transcended music, and that's why this one kiss became so symbolic. That it wasn't about the shock or the spectacle. It was about what it revealed, that behind the glitter, the fame, the perfection, Michael Jackson was still searching for genuine human connection in a world that constantly placed him on a pedestal too high to reach. In the days following the concert, the moment became front-page news. Tabloids called it the kiss scene around the world. Television stations replayed it endlessly. Fans debated online, was Michael uncomfortable? Was he angry? But those who looked closer saw something different. In that split second of surprise, there was vulnerability. In the half-smile that followed, there was forgiveness. And in his silence afterward, there was peace. Those close to him later said that Michael rarely talked about it. But in his private notes, he once wrote something that seemed to echo that night: "When they come close, I remember why I sing. Love is the only reason." It was always love, chaotic, overwhelming, uncontrollable, but love nonetheless. As his career continued, that night became part of Michael Jackson's legend. It was replayed in documentaries, remembered by fans, and immortalized in photographs that still circulate today. And yet, beyond all the media noise, the meaning remained quiet and powerful, a moment when the world saw the king of pop not as an untouchable superstar, but as a man capable of endless grace. If you slow down the footage, you can see it all in his eyes. The flash of fear as the fan rushes him. The confusion. Then, the surrender. He allows the moment to happen, accepts it, and transforms it into something beautiful. Only Michael Jackson could turn an unexpected interruption into an act of art. It's that same ability, to take chaos and make it magic, that defined his genius. Whether he was performing Billie Jean, Beat It, or Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson turned every stage into a universe of emotion. He wasn't just dancing, he was channeling energy, transmitting feeling. And maybe that's why people couldn't resist getting close. They didn't just want to see him. They wanted to touch what felt divine, but the price of being that loved was immense. Fame had stripped Michael of privacy, safety, even trust. Everywhere he went, there were cameras, rumors, lies. Yet somehow, he never stopped believing in the goodness of people. That's what made that kiss, that single, unpredictable, unforgettable kiss, so hauntingly beautiful. Imagine being in that crowd of 60,000. You've waited for hours, maybe days, to see him. The music is deafening, the lights dazzling. Then suddenly, you witness something that no one could script. A fan breaks through, embraces the most famous man alive, and instead of chaos, there's calm. For a fleeting moment, the whole stadium feels united, shocked, yes, but also strangely moved. Because deep down, everyone understood what they were witnessing wasn't rebellion. It was adoration. That night, when the concert resumed, Michael Jackson seemed different. His movements were slower, more emotional. When he sang "Will You Be There," his voice cracked slightly, almost as if he was overwhelmed. Some fans say that was the most emotional performance of his career. It felt as though he was giving everything, his heart bare under the spotlight. After the show, thousands of fans stayed behind, chanting his name long after he'd left the stage. To them, that night wasn't just another concert, it was history. Years later, people still talk about that moment. It's become one of those stories that define the paradox of Michael Jackson, the superstar who could command an army of fans, yet always seemed fragile, gentle, almost shy. The man who lived surrounded by millions, yet often seemed alone. That's the essence of what made him extraordinary. He wasn't just the king of pop because of his records or his dance moves. He was the king because he ruled hearts, not with power, but with compassion. When a fan crossed the line that night, Michael Jackson didn't react with ego. He reacted with empathy. In a world built on walls, he opened a door. And that's why people still remember, not just the music, not just the moonwalk, but the moments of humanity that made him timeless. In the grand story of his life, that kiss might seem small. But for those who witnessed it, and for the millions who later saw it on screen, it became a symbol. A reminder that love, even when chaotic and uninvited, can still be met with grace. Michael Jackson once said, "If you enter this world knowing you are loved and you leave this world knowing the same, then everything that happens in between can be dealt with." That night at Wembley was proof that even in the wildest storms of fame, love could still find him, even if it came rushing from the crowd, unannounced, and kissed him in front of the world. And maybe that's what makes his legacy endure. The lights have faded, the music has stopped, but the message remains: compassion over chaos, love over fear. Every generation that discovers Michael Jackson finds not just an artist, but a mirror, reflecting both the madness and the beauty of being human. So the next time you watch that moment, the fan on stage, the kiss, the stunned silence, remember that behind the spectacle was something simple: a man who chose to respond to intrusion with kindness, who turned shock into serenity, and who reminded the world that greatness isn't measured by how untouchable you are, but by how much love you can still give when the world rushes in. Because that was Michael Jackson, the performer who could make a stadium of 60,000 people feel like they were all sharing one heartbeat. And for a moment, when a stranger's kiss met his cheek under a shower of golden lights, that heartbeat was love. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. There are still so many untold stories about Michael Jackson, stories of compassion, mystery, and humanity behind the legend. Join us next time, and keep the magic alive.